The moon hung like a silver coin suspended in the velvet night sky as Scarlett Johnsson stood outside the opulent mansion that had become her prison. The sprawling estate, once a symbol of her success, now felt like the backdrop of a twisted game. Shadows danced across the manicured lawns, whispering secrets she had long tried to bury. "Scarlett!" A voice cut through the silence, sending a shiver down her spine. It was Mark, her co-star, his silhouette framed by the grand entrance. He rushed toward her, panting, his face a mask of urgency. "We don't have much time." "I know, but what are we even doing here?" she asked, her heart racing. The offer that had landed her this role had come with strings, no, chains attached. The darker side of Hollywood had crept into her life, and she was tired of being a pawn. "Trust me, we need to confront him. If we don't, we'll lose everything," Mark replied, his eyes flickering with a mix of fear and determination. She took a deep breath, the scent of jasmine and something more acrid swirling around her. "You mean the director? You really think he's behind all this?" "Who else could it be? The rumors, the threats, it all points to him." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I saw him slip something into your drink at the party." Scarlett's stomach turned. "You should have said something sooner. What if he knows we're on to him?" "He doesn't," Mark insisted, gripping her shoulders. "But we need to act fast. We have the evidence. The emails, the recordings. We can take him down." Scarlett glanced back at the mansion, the lights flickering like the eyes of a predator. "I can't believe it's come to this. I just wanted to be a star, not a target." "Stars shine brightest in the dark, right?" he joked, trying to lighten the mood, but the gravity of the situation weighed heavily between them. Scarlett smiled faintly, but the humor felt hollow. "You always had a way with words." "Yeah. Well, let's make sure I get to keep using them." He nodded toward the ornate door. "Let's go." With a nod, they stepped inside, the air thick with tension. Each creak of the floorboards echoed like a heartbeat. The hallway stretched before them, adorned with golden frames that seemed to watch their every move. Scarlett felt the weight of those eyes, as if they were judging her choices, her life. The sudden sound of laughter erupted from a nearby room, punctuated by a sharp scream. Scarlett froze, her pulse quickening. What was that? Mark's expression darkened. "We need to check it out." They crept toward the source, the laughter morphing into a high-pitched cackle as they reached the door. Mark hesitated, glancing at her. "Ready?" "Not really, but let's do this," she whispered, pushing the door open. Inside, the room was a chaotic blend of flashing lights and distorted shadows. A group of partygoers danced wildly, the air thick with a mix of exhilaration and desperation. In the corner, a figure stood, his back to them, a glass in hand. Victor, the director. "Scarlett," he called, spinning around with a grin that sent chills racing down her spine. "I was wondering when you'd show up." "Cut the crap, Victor," she shot back, her voice steadier than she felt. "We know what you've been up to." He laughed, a low, sinister sound. "You think you can come here and take me down? You have no idea what you're dealing with." "We have evidence," Mark interjected, stepping protectively in front of Scarlett. "We're not afraid of you anymore." Victor's eyes narrowed. "Evidence? You think that will save you? This is Hollywood, darling. You're stepping into the lion's den, and you're the main course." Scarlett felt her palms sweat, but she squared her shoulders. "You won't silence me. Not anymore." He took a step closer, the tension crackling like electricity. "You think you're so brave? This is just the beginning. I've built this empire on fear, and you're about to learn who really holds the power." Suddenly, the laughter morphed into a collective gasp, and the partygoers began to shift, sensing the storm brewing. Scarlett felt the weight of their gazes. The realization sinking in this was her moment. She had to fight back. "Mark the phone!" she shouted, her heart racing as she pulled her own from her pocket. "Record this." "Wait." Victor's voice cut through the chaos, but it was too late. "Let's see how powerful you really are," she said, her fingers trembling slightly as she pressed the record button. "This is Scarlett Johnsson, and I'm about to expose the truth about Victor Ashford and his corrupt practices in Hollywood." The room fell silent, the laughter dying down as every eye turned to them. Victor's face twisted with rage. "You wouldn't dare." "I just did," she replied, emboldened. "This is the real Hollywood, and I refuse to be part of your twisted game." "Enough!" he roared, but Scarlett stood her ground, adrenaline surging through her veins. Mark stepped beside her, his presence a comforting anchor. "You can't control us anymore, Victor. We're taking our power back." With a defiant flick of her wrist, Scarlett ended the recording and turned to the crowd. "Join us. This isn't just about me. It's about all of you who've been silenced. We're stronger together." The murmurs began, a ripple of agreement spreading through the crowd. Scarlett felt a surge of hope. The power of the people could shift the tides. Victor's facade cracked, anger boiling just beneath the surface. "You'll regret this, Scarlett. You have no idea who you're up against." Scarlett took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I know exactly who I'm up against, and I won't back down." The crowd began to chant, their voices rising in unison. "Scarlett! Scarlett! Scarlett!" The energy shifted, the power dynamics morphing as the group rallied behind her. Victor's bravado faltered, and in that moment, he realized the game was changing. The fear he had instilled was beginning to evaporate, replaced by a collective strength. "Get out!" he shouted, his voice cracking. "This is my house." Scarlett stepped forward, the weight of the moment heavy on her shoulders. "Not anymore. You've lost control." "Get her out!" he screamed, but the crowd pressed closer, determined. The laughter had turned to defiance, and for the first time, she felt the balance of power shift. As the partygoers began to move, a sense of freedom enveloped her. They surged toward Victor, their voices a chorus of rebellion. Scarlett felt the overwhelming sense of unity, the dawning realization that they could reclaim their lives, their stories. "Let's go, Scarlett," Mark urged, pulling her back slightly as the group surrounded Victor. "Together," she said, a new fire igniting within her. They turned, moving toward the exit, the chaos behind them swirling like a tempest, yet she felt lighter with each step. Once outside, the cool night air wrapped around her like a balm. The stars twinkled above, a reminder that even in darkness, there was light. "Did we really just do that?" Mark laughed, disbelief mingling with exhilaration. Scarlett looked at him, a smile breaking free. "We did. We actually did." "I can't believe it's over," he said, glancing back at the mansion. "But what happens now?" "We take the next steps," she replied, her voice steady. "We expose the truth and make sure no one else falls victim to this." Mark nodded, his eyes shining with resolve. "Together." "Together," she affirmed, the weight of their journey lifting. As they walked away from the mansion, hand in hand, the sounds of distant sirens filled the air, a reminder that the fight was far from over. But Scarlett felt ready to reclaim her voice, ready to redefine her path. In that moment, beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, she knew the power of love, the strength found in unity, and the courage it took to face the shadows. The journey had transformed her, and she was no longer just a star, she was a force to be reckoned with. And as they stepped into the future, the echoes of laughter and defiance followed them like a promise, a reminder that sometimes the greatest battles lead to the brightest victories.